Hello everybody and welcome back. I am KRX, so we're going to be doing another timeline and final thoughts for a completed Europa Universalis campaign that we just completed on the Twitch channel. And this is with the newest DLC in 2020, Leviathan, 2021, sorry, and the big patch that came out for Southeast Asia. So we ended up playing as Pegu. Now Pegu is like right on the edge, I believe, of the nations that have been affected by the Southeast flavor, and they have a new mission tree and stuff like that. As a lot of this is of course was affected by Dharma. But Pegu has a couple interesting achievements. One new, where you just have to get like 50 provinces that are not of the Mon culture group. Can't remember what that one's called. That's no Mon or something like that. And then there's the more famous Pegu achievement to get 100,000 sailors, Sailor Mon. And we ended up getting both those achievements. We knocked out two sort of specific achievements to Pegu in this run. And let's run it here. Let's get the timeline moving here. And essentially what we needed to do, our first mission was if we could take these two prom and this other province here, if we could take these provinces, we'd get free claims on Ava. Now, it turns out that this guy was allied to this guy, so we were able to sort of just swoop in there. And I wanted to take this land before Bengal could take it, because I think this is a center of trade. Of course, this is a world port right here that Bengal owns. We'll have to get that later. If we could take out Ava, if we can control this land here in Burma, I believe we get free claims. It leads to a different mission to get free claims over Bengal, which is really nice, because ultimately Bengal is probably the best trade end node for us right now. We have the Burma trade node, and we have good dominance over it, even at this point in the game, but it doesn't have much pouring into it, whereas Malacca goes to Bengal. It doesn't go to Burma. So we kind of wanted to move over to Bengal kind of as soon as we could, really. We ended up doing that a little bit late, but as soon as we did, we started making way more money. So you can see, once we get our... now, the tricky thing about Ava is that those little nations right here were actually tributaries of Ava. So if we attacked into them directly, Ava would defend. But what happened was, because these guys were allied to this weaker nation, we were able to get those three provinces really, really quickly. And then once we, honestly, like, Ava has a lot of tributaries, but it's not the same as vassals, right? So when we attack Ava directly, Ava's tributaries don't support Ava. It's only, it's only a defensive agreement for the tributaries themselves. So once we start attacking Ava and they start getting weaker, we actually kind of just steamroll them consistently as soon as as much as we can, because we have really good permanent claims on these, so it's a lot cheaper to take this land right in here in the heart of this area. Kind of unfortunately, or whatever, Ava ended up sort of taking a lot of land this way, so it's like Ava never really got completely incapacitated, but at this point this is pretty wealthy, high development land in here, and we're doing pretty well. We have some good... we have most of the dominance over the Burma center of trade at this point. We can even use trade ships because it is touching the sea here to protect trade, even though the heart of it is really up here. I think at this point we're actually... at some point we're trying to get an alliance with Vijayanagara, thinking that they're far enough out of the way we couldn't bother... we wouldn't be bothered by having them as an alliance. We actually also have an alliance on Athuthaya for a while, which is kind of important. We do have a mission to take these guys out, and I believe these guys actually became a tributary of Athuthaya. That's one of the ways that the alliance ultimately severed between us and them, and that might be happening right now in 1513, as we just took our first chunk of Lenna. I don't know how to say this. I apologize, guys. We might have actually switched Athuthaya for Lanyang, to be honest. We might have done that little swapperoo right there. But I think we're also going to be colonizing. You can see that we're actually colonizing at this point here, too. Oh, and, that's right, we're colonizing the Spice Islands. And we've conquered Ternate and Tidor. Cool thing is, there's a new trade good in the Leviathan patch that adds cloves, and cloves are insanely valuable. Like, it's an 8 or an 8.5 value trade good, and we ended up getting only these islands here can spawn cloves. And we ended up getting cloves in every single one. Hey, Toby. Sorry, the cat's joining us here, making some noise. Uh-oh. Oh, don't step on the keyboard. Just took a screenshot. There you go, Toby. Good job. We needed that screenshot. So we ended up getting cloves, I think, out of the, what is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible provinces. We got 4 out of 5. That's right, we got 4 out of 5 cloves. And then, of course, Tidor and Ternate start with cloves. So we ended up getting almost all cloves, except for I think this was tropical wood right here. So getting a huge amount of money here. We ended up stating all this. This is actually part of our subcontinent. So even though we're colonizing all this, it is part of our subcontinent. We didn't state all of it, but we did state the Spice Islands specifically. We haven't attacked... did we attack Bengal? We did attack Bengal, and we took a couple of provinces with those permanent claims that we had. Bengal and Jaunpur actually were good buddies the entire time. I think even Mawa was allied to Bengal, even though these guys were hating each other. Which is kind of a bummer. At this point, we actually swoop over and we vassalize Orissa. And Orissa is actually going to be able to do a big reconquest war against these guys. But these guys are allied to Vijayanagara, who's still our ally. We're using favors with Vijayanagara to get a lot of money and soldiers and things as needed. Because we can use favors to exchange for money and soldiers, which is kind of cool. Manpower. I think at some point we start actually working on Alaska. Hasn't quite happened yet, it looks like. Not yet. And we're just trying to gobble up as much as we can here. We end up kind of getting sloppy with this down here. We don't really go after Australia as fast as we could have probably. We probably could have done a lot more with the colonial game. Done a lot better. We only had expansion ideas. We did not have exploration ideas. We did end up getting a explorer in an event. And we used that explorer in an event to get to the New World. And that explorer lived for decades. It was actually, he lived for a very long time. So it was really, really awesome that we were able to I think we discovered some of South America. We also discovered Alaska and stuff like that. We're able to then colonize from that point on over in those areas as well. And I think eventually we're going to see Spain. Yeah, this is Spain here coming along. And I think Portugal will get over here as well. And I don't think France will do much over here. In fact, actually, Portugal has actually landed over here and they've bought Goa. And you can see we're expanding Orissa here. So Orissa just did a reconquest war against these guys and these guys. I think we had Vijayanagara in a war with us against Bengal, and then we just attacked these guys on the side. At some point, we actually get once we take over all of these guys here, we get a casus belli to use against Athithaya that is a subjugation casus belli. And they fixed it with where 1.31 had that bug where you couldn't vassalize nations in war. They fixed that, and you can always nationalize them if you have the mission CB, vassalization CB. You can always vassalize them no matter how big they are. So even though Athithaya is monstrously big, we actually straight up vassalize these guys in a single war. So these guys are our vassal now, which is pretty cool. And they're loyal at the moment. We're actually integrating them too. But it's going to take another few decades to integrate them. And we've already completed our goals. We've expanded enough to get the one goal. That's no Mon. 50 provinces that are not of the Mon culture group. And then we've also just barely tipped over 100,000 sailors, as we'll see when we're done with this timeline. For the most part, we're just beating up Bengal, trying to control more of the Bengal node. Trying to just, make sure we had complete and utter dominance over this trade port, as it's now our center of trade, and we're making some good money from that. We're trying to upgrade a lot of our monuments. We have tons of monuments all through the Burma area. We're trying to upgrade those, but they're pretty expensive to upgrade now. They changed it from the release. It used to be just 1,000 gold to upgrade each, and now it's 1,000 and then 3,500 and then 7,000. It gets rather expensive. Going after certain trade centers over here, specifically targeting trade centers. You can see that Ming ended up actually blowing up this run, and Manchus actually was a big reason for that, I think. That's actually really kind of a clean Manchu. It's a very kind of, it's snaky. It's not, there is some border gore going on here, but that's kind of a nice Manchu. That's actually also a really nice Lanyang too. Holy cow, I mean, it just looks so good. They're actually becoming a formidable enemy, actually, just slowly over time, even though at the beginning they would have been much weaker than us for quite a while. Malacca, we were allied them to for a while, but then we had missions in order to come down here and conquer a lot of these bits and bobs. And I think if I go to our missions here, and we have special missions we've just finished the timeline. It really wasn't too exciting of a run, to be honest. There wasn't too many decisive moments, just a lot of annoying wars against Bengal because they were allied to Gujarat, who doesn't exist anymore, actually, and Malwa and Jaunpur. So like the entire of northern India was basically allied to Bengal, so that made that really annoying. I think Assam was like either allied to them or a tributary to them or something. We ended up attacking Assam a lot of the time to get in against Bengal and try to break up their alliances a little bit that way, dissect their alliances that way. But yeah, if we come here, we go there, we can see that Athithaya is a subject of ours, but we have permanent claims on all of the, what region is this? all of the Malaya region. Permanent claims in all of the Malaya region, which is kind of nice. It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't include all of this, but it's still a nice area that we get permanent claims from. And that mission is from this here, dominate the Spice Island. So you have to control Malacca and Siak, Palembang, and have a certain amount of percentage trade power in the Malacca area. So we have one mission tree that is essentially this mission tree right here has us hopping down to here and taking control down here. This is it this one? Oh, this one right here, this little small one right here is just to come up and take all this and then to take all this. So that's pretty nice. So you get permanent claims on sort of this area here, permanent claims on this area down here. And then you have this, if you follow this path here, it gets you these guys, and then a casus belli to subjugate Athuthia, who usually, as they did in this game, usually they unify and expand a little bit. So it ends up being this whole area here. In fact, it might give us permanent claims. It doesn't give us permanent claims on that area. It just gives us the casus belli to take their land. Country name? Oh, that's for Athuthia's country name will change. That's what they're talking about there. Okay. But yeah, there's really the thing that we're waiting on here to finish the other missions, which there's no achievement for that or anything, is you have to get some of these up to level 3. You have to get the pagoda, this thing up to level 3. We're not even level 2 right now. And then there's one over here that you have to get this one up to level 3. And I think we are working on this one at least. I think there's actually a bug. Oh, no, it's level 2. We're thinking about getting it to level 3. 7,000 gold. 7,000 gold to get to level 3. Now, late game, that's nothing, right? But if it's like 7,000 gold, how many manufactories would that buy, right? How many manufactories would that buy? And we obviously have some very valuable manufactories here. So it seems kind of crazy to do that. But either way, this is kind of the state of the world. Let's look at our ideas and such. Talk a little bit about what we did here. We ended up actually, interestingly enough, for the very first time ever, I ended up going what is called States General, which I didn't know how this worked. And it pits the statists against the monarchists, and it's actually really kind of interesting. I actually kind of like this system. I don't know if I like it as much as just the default monarchy, but it's kind of neat to be able to have some kind of control. You don't like your guy, just let the statists get in power, and then just have elections every few years. Once you get someone really good, make them a dictator, make them a monarch, basically, and then let them live out their life. So it's kind of a neat little sort of like back and forth there. I never really feel like getting good leaders is that much of an issue when you have disinherit and you have the heir system and you can play around all that, especially when you have tons of prestige all the time later in the game. So I don't usually find that monarchies are that bad, and events that'll pop up that'll let you pick an heir and stuff like that. But making some good money, you can see. In fact, actually, what is the 69 ducats in Bengal, and we're controlling 73% of that. Oh, we haven't even upgraded some of these bits and bobs, it looks like, over here, because I think we just took these. We might be coring some of them. No, it doesn't look like we're coring them. So we could just upgrade this. You know, we could upgrade all these, maybe even try to get them to level 3 if we had the amount of merchants to do that. So that would help a little bit there. And we could totally keep playing this run. I just think we've accomplished our goals, you know what I mean? Our goals have been accomplished. Expansion ideas into offensive ideas. Offensive was pretty useful because we were doing a lot of ground wars. We ended up taking maritime ideas just for the flavor, and also because it gives you 50% more sailors, which is silly, right? But because our goal for this run was actually to get 100,000 sailors, it ended up working out. We're getting 1,000 sailors a month, and we only spend 163 on the fleet. That's crazy. So we got infinite sailors over here. So maritime ideas, just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. Honestly, this ships can repair in coastal sea zones. That's actually really cool, though. That's actually really, really neat, because that means they could be repairing while they're blockading. It's like really neat. Quality and offensive are my two favorite military. These are just absolutely fantastic together. Economic ideas, quite good. Pegu themselves have an extra merchant at the beginning of the game, which really doesn't have much to do early on. So it's kind of a weird thing to start with. I would have rather had that at the end and the development cost be at the front, but you know, that maybe would be too strong. I don't know. Trade efficiency, goods produced. Tolerance of the True Faith +2, that's actually quite nice. Morale of armies, a military technology cost reduction, diplomatic reputation, legitimacy. So And again, we kind of talked about the missions that we have here. Relatively straightforward missions, nothing that crazy until you start to get into here, and it's a lot of monument action down here. It would be interesting to see exactly what this the event of Pegu absolutism happens. I'd be curious to look up what that event is. We also get to change the name of our country. But this does require, really the issue with this is a lot of culture converting we'd have to do that we weren't doing. More importantly, it's getting this to level 3. Yeah, so we'd have to just start doing a bunch of culture conversions and then getting this to level 3. And of course, we are Theravada. We could take a look at the religious map mode there. Pretty stable at the moment. What's our national unrest? Minus 5% as a baseline. We've had some pretty decent generals this run. Really good. We've had some really good admirals, actually. Yeah, we did a decent job pulling stuff back. Actually, to be fair, to be completely honest, we haven't been, once we got into Age of Absolutism, which this started late. In fact, actually, our global trade ended up triggering like 40 years later, something crazy like that. I don't even know what was going on there. Oh, we actually do have 3 of these. We could do a Golden Age. We're very close to getting the yearly Absolutism. Looks like our maximum Absolutism is 84, which isn't really that bad, to be honest. I don't think that's so bad at all. So that's kind of neat. I haven't even opened this up since the Age of Absolutism even started. I haven't even opened this up, but it does look like we've just sort of, through serendipity, we've completed these. We are the 3 of them, at least. We're the great power, we're the number 1 great power in the world, although the Ottomans are actually kind of hanging with us. And I think this is really interesting. Manchu doing really well and kind of helping destabilize. Manchu took Beijing pretty early, and that kind of really like destabilized Ming at that point, you can imagine. Oh, it looks like France is actually... Oh, wait, who is this? Okay. Wait, France isn't actually in this war. Oh, never mind. Burgundy's making a comeback. Holy cow, what's going on here? Oh, Spain is helping him out? That's a good thick England right there. But England's just not being able to do anything against mainland Europe. Gascony, France really struggling this time. Austria seems to be doing well, okay, but they're not the emperor because the emperor is has to be a Protestant faith. So this little guy here in Berg is the... Oh, Berg's actually doing pretty well on his own. He's doing fine for someone that started with like 1 or 2 provinces. Ottoman's doing quite well there. Muscovy, not Russia, because they're probably they're still allied to Razan. Ryazan. Holy cow. That's so silly that can happen. That's so silly that when they get this alliance, they just never drop them and they never form Russia because of it. It's the silliest thing. They need to fix that. I think that's something that needs to be... I don't know. I think it's just weird that something so trivial as that can keep a country from reaching its full potential. But anyways, guys, thank you everybody for watching this timeline of final thoughts. If you guys have questions about Pegu or Leviathan update or anything like that, feel free to drop a comment. I read all the comments. I respond to 90% of them at least, if there's anything there to respond to. But I read all of them. And we are going to be doing a quick start guide. So if you're interested in how we got going specifically, we are going to actually do a specific guide to talk about the start, how to get going, a little bit of a quick start guide and opening moves walkthrough for Pegu. That's going to be coming up on the channel too. So thanks everybody for being here, and I will see you guys in the next one.